Welcome to Echo Chamber, the session in between sessions. Today, or tonight rather, we're going to start out with myself and Siddle, and then hopefully we get some visitors along the way. Uh, with that, let's go ahead and jump in. So, Rusty, you got anything that sparked from last fight? Siddle
So
by committee.
I was gonna say, yeah, my problem was, had a little power issue at, critical moment of we're all running from, Hell's Half Acre into the battleground, and yep, power done. Pop back on at 2, 3 in the morning. Lights popped on, scared the shit out of me. But what I understand from the recap, you guys did exactly what I would have done. Tested out my new fun ability with Meta Magic Adept, and popped off a couple of uh cold damage fireballs, from my understanding, and all sorts of fun shit. So,
Yeah, I
well
gotta
done. You
admit,
did
I
well.
felt bad. I felt bad us doing doing that, like using your new toy without you. I felt bad.
No, that's all right. That's exactly what I would have done. So we're good.
Nice. Okay, well, I'm glad you're not salty about it. And you did a shit ton of damage. Siddle by committee did a lot. I mean, uh, maybe not as much AOE as you would typically do, but still a lot of damage nonetheless. I think when the I think there were two fireballs that were cast and turned into cold damage, and one of them used spell sculpting. Maybe both of
Excellent.
them. I'm not sure. But yeah, no. So it was definitely pretty cool to have that in your repertoire. Glad you added. Is that a feat then? The meta magic.
That is a feat. Yes, I. So the after the first fire giant fight, way back in Tribor, felt rather useless because I'm not going to be able to do max damage to them because I'm very fire heavy. So was looking for ways around that. Stumbled across that as I was going through. When we leveled up to level 8 or eighth level, whatever. And yeah, just had
Nice.
to do it. Had to take it. Give me a little bit of extra oomph against those guys.
Well, another thing that was used that you didn't need meta magic for was chromatic orb because you can actually decide the type of damage, right? So that
Yeah,
actually works out like a good combo to be able to use the
chromatic
meta
orb is.
magic for fireball, firewall, that type of stuff, and then to be
Yep.
able to use chromatic orb and decide.
Yeah, chromatic orb is an awesome one. Um, can get a bit frustrating if I'm on a night where the dice are not in my favor, since I do have to actually make a ranged attack on that. But
Right. So how do you feel about that? Because I was thinking about that because one thing that actually happened was Blessed was cast on Siddle, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not dissing it in any case because, Blessed being cast, in my opinion, is better than Blessed not being cast at all.
oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
it's going to help with saves and other things. So I'm super happy Blessed was cast in any case. But how does a sorcerer wizard, sorry, feel about actually having to roll for the damage versus having to make someone make a save? I mean, because I don't know because I don't have to do it. So I'm just curious how that goes in your mind.
I strongly prefer saving throw spells. Um, just because otherwise it's like, well, shit. I wasted a spell slot. I wasted my turn. All right, move on to the next one. Versus which I mean, I guess it's not that different than someone just making a melee attack of some variety. But
Yeah, I feel like it would be less pressure. You know what I mean?
yes,
Because when Amrook's jumping in there and swinging, and you roll crappy, you're like, man, I fucked up. And if you cast something that they have to make the save, you always be like, man, the dice were just in your favor. Like I feel like
yep,
it's a
exactly.
pressure difference.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. I mean, I think the one time I've cast a spell that required a saving throw that it did no damage at all was when I was playing Battleship with those Onis.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was
Okay.
like, I'm gonna drop a fireball right there. I think that's where he was, and I was just like 5 feet away from getting the one guy when he was invisible. But
Hmm. Yeah. I
that was
mean,
a kind of a hasty judgment versus spell failure.
Yeah. So in that situation, or in a future situation like that, Oni, now that you're saying that, could we huddle up and cast firewall around us facing outward?
We totally could.
And then, like, guess what? You either got to come above it, or let's leave an opening and we'll funnel you.
Yeah, the only problem with that though is that the wall is opaque. So that would make it very difficult for, anyone else to get an attack in because, they can't see, where they're shooting their bow, where they're throwing their axe, whatever.
For sure. So it would be frustrating for someone like myself or Grizz, but at the same time, in a situation like Nasana and her lair, it would have prevented other attacks. But then again, she could have just dropped a fireball on top of us. So I don't know.
That
That'd be
is that
tricky.
is true. That would be, yeah. I see your point though, because I mean that would have given us, hey, we've got a round for, Adrian to throw up healing spirit or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, she could have cloud killed.
that's
So
true.
I think it's niche. It's not necessarily maybe in that configuration shouldn't be used for mages and stuff, but I think being able to funnel those melee attackers like the bone claw and stuff, and
Yeah,
you know uh, obstruct the vision. So maybe it should have been used in a straight line in that instance to help funnel them away from us.
yeah. We can kind of get a, they have to come this particular direction in order to, um, you know, in order to do any damage to us. And if they try to rush right through, they're going to take damage themselves.
Right. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah. No. So definitely some versatility there. I was just curious about the saves versus the attacks because as much fun as it is to be able to roll a nat 20 and strike and do 90 damage in a turn, at the same time, there's no pressure if it's the saves are on them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if you look at my dice rolls in that Nasana fight, I didn't hit anything. I think I did the lowest amount of damage, and Grizz was top, right? But if
yeah.
the dice are in your favor, it's the opposite. So I don't know. I don't know. I could go either way, but luckily I don't have to choose.
Yep.
And you do sometimes, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Um, so to recap, since you weren't there, you already gave some of it. We found that snake. You were up there to that point, and you started moving with us. And I think you cut out right before we got to the point of attack, right?
Yeah, I was at the point where on my next turn I could have cast magic missile or something on the snake in the tree.
Okay,
Because that was
okay.
my next move planned was, all right,
Magic
I'll be
missile.
within 120-ish feet or something like that. I've got a couple of options for stuff that'll reach that far.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I think we did move you up a little bit, but you were still untouched, to be honest, because they were all melee attackers. So I don't think you had to worry about too much, other than the boulders. But as long as you bobbed and weave a little bit, I think you were okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was, Amrook gets ahead, takes the dodge action, and then when you guys are close enough, goes in so that they might get one boulder off, which I think they did. And fortunately, or unfortunately, however you look at it, it was that Frank. So
yeah.
um,
It
they
just
might have.
always cracks me when Frank dies, though. To be totally honest with you, so you know,
I mean, I'm not sad, and I think I said this in a previous session. I would definitely, if Frank was my steed or familiar, I would use him more like fodder constantly.
yep,
I
he's
would
coming
not
back
be
tomorrow morning.
protective
It
of him.
doesn't matter.
And now, if it was something like Fluffy, on the other hand, maybe not.
Yeah,
I get that.
yeah.
But something you can bring right back up, no,
Uh-huh.
that's fodder. But
Yep, absolutely.
I get being attached to it, so I don't know. I don't, maybe I'd feel differently if it was mine. I don't know. Um,
he's Kenny from South Park. You know, he gets killed every episode, comes back the next one.
yeah, somehow he's magically back, literally magically back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. So if we go to it, I'm just trying to think of some things you might have missed. So something noticed about this previous session, and obviously you didn't notice it because you weren't there, but all of the backliners stayed far back. They were just stand back. Reed even went up top. He was like, I don't want to be seen at all. I want to poke out, take pot shot, drop back. He was pulling a full on Mordai the entire time.
Yep.
All of our backliners stayed the F away. And it was kind of comical to see that from Amrook's point of view because I got no choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Nasana fight kind of made some people gun shy about going close. I don't know. Did that make you feel gun shy? You playing Siddle, like, do you think you will position differently?
I I need to make use of the Mordai tactics more often because especially now that we're coming up against more and more powerful enemies. Um, you know, I do not have a lot of hit points, and I gain them per level much more slowly than others. I think so. The more I can stay out of the line of fire, the better.
Okay. I mean, that sounds really obvious, but I guess you don't know it until you actually don't use it correctly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that just kind of stinks. Um, I don't know. I know that Althea and Reed kind of hang back in order to get that sneak attack, in order to
Hmm.
get that stealth, so to speak.
Hmm.
But I feel like sometimes there's something to be sacrificed as far as stealth to get better positioning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have to make a judgment call, and sometimes that stealthy, sometimes that sneak attack isn't the most beneficial for the particular fight we're in.
Yeah, plus, like, so you don't need to stealth to get sneak attack. You know what I mean? As long as there is an ally within 5 feet, you still get sneak attack. I
Mm.
watched an episode earlier today. Well, listened to an episode earlier today where somebody had a familiar, and they sent the familiar into the melee range in order to attack and get sneak attack.
That's a good idea.
Right? Like if you have a familiar, like Grizz can send Frank in to get within melee, and guess what? Now you get sneak attack.
Does Reed have a way to summon a familiar or something? Am
He
I
has a
making sure?
familiar. It's a bird, and
Yeah.
he can summon it. I I am not the DM, so I'll leave that up to G Money. But I would
Mm.
consider that an ally, and so if the bird went in and like pecked at the eyes or something, guess what? It's in range now, and that's like a flying speed, so it can get there a lot quicker than Amrook per se.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I mean that's not a bad strategy, especially if what does it cost? Some chalk and other things to resurrect your familiar,
Hmm.
incense and something else. I forget what it is exactly, but just to resurrect it and then you
Yeah.
get that damage.
I forget
I'd
what it's
make that
called.
sacrifice, but
Hmm.
or I'd be asking Grizz to I'd be using my 2 words to get Grizz to send Frank in where I needed it.
Um, shit. What was I gonna say? I lost it. I lost it. Never mind.
We also have what came out, the bag of tricks.
Mm-hmm.
3 animals came out, and they took some hits for us as well, so that was nice. But you can use those as well. That's just another thing.
Yeah.
So I think we got plenty of familiars in order for people to get that sneak attack damage. So I don't know if the stealth is worth it. Like obviously positioning yourself in a spot not to get hit by a boulder is best, but I think that you can get closer so that you're not at a disadvantage range. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
what is a short bow? Anything over 180 or something, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Short bow has some friggin' reach.
yeah, it's got a 320, but you're at disadvantage. So if you could
Oh, right,
get
right, yeah.
if you could get within 180 feet and use a familiar to get there, you automatically get sneak attack. And you can find, if you look at 180-foot radius around the enemy, you could find something to hide behind. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a rogue. I don't have to worry about too much, but it was just interesting little tidbit with the
Speaking
familiar
of
today.
rogues,
Reed, what do you think about that?
About what?
Oh, sorry. I thought couldn't tell how long you were there, so I had. We were just talking about positioning as far as rogues go. I had mentioned that all of our backline stayed super backline. After the Nasana fight, I felt like people were a little gun shy. And then we started talking about positioning, and I saw someone today actually had a familiar and sent the familiar into melee range so that they could then take their shot and get sneak attack damage.
Yeah, so that was initially going to be my plan, and then I just didn't go through with it.
Wait, initially as in this fight or as in previous fights and you just haven't done it yet?
This fight, the I left oh god, Apollyon out above the entrance of the arena during the Nasana fight to check to make sure nobody was following us in.
Ah, okay, okay.
So I sent him back up, or I guess I didn't send him back up. He was just up there, and I chose to have him not follow me.
See, none of us knew that, like personally, nor did the viewers, I guess. So a little bit of mystery there. But then
I
this,
think I told Garrett I'm keeping him above ground.
okay, didn't realize. So you kept him in the ruins,
Yeah,
maybe, because that was a couple sessions ago.
yeah,
That
it
would
was
have
what
been like,
4.
yeah. Yeah, something like that. But then you said this time you were going to send him in, like into melee range of either the giants or something else.
Yeah, Eric decided to spawn his
Bag of
moose,
tricks. Yeah, he got the panther, the moose. I feel like he
and
got something else.
he did the boar.
Oh, the boar. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
if
So
you were calling him Forrest,
it, it was a little bit of opportunity that you didn't need at this time, but I mean, it was just interesting to see that you could do something like that, and I think your familiar would count, and I assume you can resurrect the familiar if it dies for what, like 50 gold?
Yeah,
Yeah, something like
there's
that. And
plenty of that in my pockets. So
I was going to say, Lord knows you got plenty of cash lying around.
listen, I definitely would try to weasel my way of getting money out of the group pack.
we no longer keep money in the group pack, but I can guarantee you, if you convinced Amrook that you needed it, he'd gladly give it to you.
And I can guarantee you that I could guilt Griswold into giving me the gold.
Yeah, for sure. I think pretty much anybody, besides maybe Warwick, would give it to you.
Yeah. My thought with Griswold was relating it to Frank.
Oh, yeah. We talked a little bit about that because Frank would be another one that if you used like your couple words to tell Grizz where to position Frank, that gives you sneak attack damage as well.
I don't think Frank had a chance
He did
at
not.
this
He
fight.
got crushed by a boulder this time, but it's just something to think about in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Nasana fight was a decision, and then this one was me neglecting.
Yeah, no, I think not neglecting, but not needing. I think there was a difference this fight. I also this past session, Evan or Grizz, I'm not sure, decided we would come up with some phrases, and he posted them. I actually put them on a post-it note or a sticky note on my PC, but didn't look at them because they seemed very, obvious to me. Whether you were going to go like full Nova, whether you were going to be, frontline attack type deal, like a fight front to back type deal. But how do you guys feel about the phrases and stuff? Do you think it'll help? Do you think it'll be confusing?
I
It
think
depends on if we remember.
I was going to say, I think that people will forget and it'll fall apart after half a turn or half a round.
Possibly, possibly. It could take some practice. My concern is more than, one person having an opinion on which command to give.
Mm-hmm.
That could get to an issue, when one person yells out full Nova and then the next person says hold your actions, you know what I mean? And then it's kind of like, what do we do here, guys? Because it's almost like we don't have a leader in the party to call out the commands.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think Griswold's that leader? That not the leader we need, or not the leader we deserve, but the leader we need?
No, he's probably the leader we deserve.
uh, I mean, maybe, and give it a shot. What's it gonna hurt? We already had the Nasana almost kill us, so I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Would Reed or Siddle take on that creed? Would they be the leader?
Reed probably wouldn't.
I
Same
kind of
with
figured.
same with Siddle.
Would they follow orders from Grizz?
Uh,
And if your
Probably.
answer is no, you have to tell me who they would follow orders from.
Within reason. If Reed thought it was going to be detrimental to himself, he would not.
Okay, okay. Fair enough,
Yeah,
fair enough.
and my thoughts are, for Siddle is if that's what if I agree with the order, and think that it's probably for the best of the party, um then yeah. But if it was like, okay, wait a minute, he's up there, he's not seeing the whole picture, or he is, maybe, Griswold has a tendency to um fight based on emotion rather than tactics sometimes.
No.
And Siddle is a very analytical type of individual, so I think that's the concern there.
Okay. I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose, right? If you have a leader giving commands and people are like, okay, I will follow your commands unless I disagree with them, then it's kind of like, you
Yeah, that's
know,
a good point. But
That
yeah,
I guess that plays into Reed's character. We
oh,
haven't done
agreed.
anything that would make me second guess.
Oh, as
Um,
soon as you said that, I was like, definitely, that's Reed. He's neutral. If it will benefit him, then okay, I'll follow along. And as soon as it doesn't benefit, nope, I'm over here doing this, guys.
yeah, it is if the party was in danger or anything, or if like we had a like cohesive plan or everyone was going in, yeah, for sure. But the moment Reed senses that he's in danger, he's dipping. So I guess he would listen within reason. I mean, if he went headstrong into like Grudhog by himself, I don't think anyone's following it.
yeah,
But
Well, I mean, I can say that we saw that. And Amric followed him
yeah,
still. So,
yeah, Reed stuck with the plan, and Reed almost paid for it.
mm-hmm.
So, um, I think Reed would be a little hesitant, but would listen for the most part.
okay. I mean, fair enough. Maybe we impromptu voted Grizz as our leader.
I think Adrin would probably be the best leader.
That was my thought as well. Is
Okay. Go for it.
I
Explain.
think I trust Adrin to work off of instinct rather than emotion.
Do you trust Adrin or do you trust Eric? Because I think there's a difference there.
I see Adrin as an extension of Eric, to be totally honest. So,
I see Adrin as this hippie who's like, I don't like to go in towns. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do here, guys, type deal. So I don't see that confidence in Adrin, but I do know it's there with Eric. So I don't know. That's why I'm curious.
I feel
It's
like there's
interesting.
more to Adrin than just the straight up, let's smoke up some herbs, whatever. And I think one of the big reasons for Siddle is like, all right, so presumably when he got almost killed, like prior to the start of the campaign, backstory wise, right? That was all based off emotion. Was all right. I'm gonna go get my fucking book back, right? And going off of emotion there was not really in my favor. Almost ended very poorly.
But then you and Adrin both did it again. You went for the book and you went for the head of the snake.
That is true. That is true. I don't know if that was a little bit of a newfound sense of confidence of, hey, I'm much better trained than I was last time, or whatever, and probably letting emotion pop in there a little bit again too.
Mm-hmm.
I said Adrin because he's the most I don't want to say respected, but no one questions Adrin.
Even keel, level-headed, whatever. Yeah, it's kind of my.
Okay.
It's not so much like his tactics and like thought process. It's the trust within the party.
I think that is a nail on the head right there, because as we were talking about the Griswold, Reed was like, I'll follow you unless I disagree. As it comes to Adrin, Reed's never had that disagreement with Adrin, so if the trust is there, you're going to follow farther. So I mean that does make sense there. I get you. So
But
it's
most
about
anyone, it would be
trusting
the
those decisions.
yeah. It's mostly Grizz that Reed would be most hesitant.
Yeah.
Because of previous decisions, I get that. Although last couple battles, he has made some decent decisions, we'll say.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And he's healed Amrook the past 2 battles for like 40 points. I don't know what's going on there, but it's worked out. Because I was able to then unleash the Fury and do 90 points of damage in 1 turn. Which we'll see here in the stats in a moment. But I expect more people to pop in and out. Reed, do you have, or Ryan, do you have anything from the last session that you noticed you'd like to talk about, or you have something to bring up? I'll ask you the same question I asked Siddle while you think about it. I noticed you were more backline this time. You jumped up on top and you were pulling a full-on Mordai. You'd pop out, take your shot, pop back. Is that because of the previous fight? And you were like, man, I'm not putting my life on the line this time, guys.
It was more so I felt more used, like, since I had Long Strider and I can dash, I could have gotten down the rock face if needed.
Mm-hmm.
So if Amrook, well, the real issue is that both the fire elemental and the fire giant were next to you. So I was like, well, I can't really go down there and like tank a hit, because if I use 40 movement to get down there, I have to use another 40, and I can't really move much.
Right.
Most of it was avoiding the boulder and the boulders, and making sure I didn't go down, because if I go down, we lose a good bit of DPS.
Yep.
I will say that we I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly, but not even like a full day after, or not even a full session after, we just run in guns ablaze. No questions asked.
We did, but at the same time, some people hung back. I think part of that was, we're pissed off. Let's fucking kill something. And then part of it was like, the scene, the setting itself, kind of lended itself for, okay, we know this fight's coming. It's pretty straightforward. We're not running into, a Nasana trap like last time.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of like
Necessary.
we fought these before, you know.
Well, I mean, we didn't necessarily know what was around that corner. So I get what Ryan's saying. It could have been still something. Something could have jumped out of that water. Something could have been around the corner. Maybe we could have done a little bit more recon. Um, but it's just not the Phandalin Phive not to battle, not to sit back and do that. And I think for me, it comes down to, if you start to like get too much recon and too much into that, it feels like analysis paralysis, and you just sit there and think, okay, how do we do? What do we do? We're gonna do this. You're gonna do this, and you literally sit there for 40 minutes doing nothing. So for
Yeah,
me, I go in a little bit, and then I duck behind the tree until you guys could catch up, and then that gave me a little bit to catch the bearings and figure out who and what was there.
I guess my thing was we didn't even wait for Adrian to really tell us what was going on. We didn't even get the full scope. We just kind of everyone just booked it.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
I don't know if that was somewhat metagaming, because I don't know if he specifically said what exactly was going on.
So he said, because I only know this because he said it, that Amrook stand beside me and I'm going to tell you what's going on. And so basically everything Garrett was saying, it was being relayed to us.
Okay. Okay.
Until that point of the Panther saw this, there's giants there, and this, and now I forget if it was a snake, whatever it was, is coming our way, and then it was kind of like, okay, we kind of know what's going on. Let's go in, and that's when I tugged twice onto his robe, and we went in.
Okay. I misunderstood. I missed the part where you were relaying it.
Yeah, yeah. So he was definitely relaying it because he told me to tug twice if we needed him out of it.
Yeah, I knew that part. That never everyone everyone ran away from Adrian.
Uh, yeah, you guys all did spread out, and then I was like standing beside him, and that's when he was like, "Wait," you know. I think it was pretty much the same thing last time. Whenever he went beast mode through the Sparrow, Adrian or Amrook stood next to him in defensive stance as Althea and Warwick just walk up.
Yeah, that was my thing. Is that like, uh,
And Reed
everyone.
climbed a tree and dropped rocks on people, or dropped ball bearings on people that time.
So we do have Eric over in the Twitch chat.
And Althea popped out of the woods.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, G. What were you gonna say, Ryan? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I was just surprised that everyone left him.
I mean, are you really
Me too.
that surprised?
Well, no, but like the man's essentially in a trance. He can't defend himself, and we're all like, "Yeah, get fucked, kid. we're going to fight this one that we know of, fire snake."
Yeah, I'm really not that surprised, but it is something to keep in mind.
I was surprised no one stayed behind. Not the fact that most people went.
I mean, I woke him up before I ran. All right, I gave a
That was
little
only
tug.
because that was only because you were lower on the initiative.
Possibly. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done there if I was higher, because I wouldn't have heard him say what was there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll keep it in mind for next time. Maybe I'll have Grizz just pick him up and carry him.
Yeah.
Welcome, G Money. We already talked about quite a bit, so I don't want to run out of time. I know Rusty's got a hard stop, so we're going to jump in to Siddle's Compendium of Magical Artifacts. Keep it in mind as you decide to give us some loot from this last battle, because we did not get a chance to loot these giants and stuff. But without further ado, it's playing. Give me a second. Magic item of the week. You're up.
I do have one more general discussion point that I wanted to make real quick, and then we'll go to
All right.
magic items.
Real quick.
So Ryan and I had discussed this a while ago. Carl, I think we've talked about this too, and this is more of a general gameplay mechanic, whatever sort of thing, but essentially a shot clock for turns.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
We've
I
definitely
like it.
bounced that back and forth quite a bit, especially early on. It was tough for a lot of people, and when you learn new things, and I get that. I like it and I don't. So I like it for the most part because it keeps battle going quickly. However, I think about it also in situations like my last attack when I attacked like 4 times and used a bunch of superiority points and everything else. Does
So
that shot clock still apply?
So I'm thinking the shot clock is more of a, you have this much time to make your decision on your action. So like, some shit just takes longer than that, right? If DM says, how do you want to do this? Like, it might take more than 30 seconds or whatever that shot clock is to, describe what your thoughts are, how you're going to, behead this thing, whatever. Or, spend superiority that I attack 4 times, do a cartwheel, whatever.
I
I'm
imagined it.
almost wondering if it's like, all right, you have to at least start giving your what you're gonna do within this time period.
Yeah, I imagined it more of like an action clock.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
you have, let's just use the basketball analogy. You have 24 seconds to essentially get to your action.
I'm good with it, but I play a pretty simple character.
Yeah, I don't know how it would be for spellcasters.
If clock runs out, then do you just take the dodge action?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good with it if you guys want to. I didn't want to impose anything that would hinder the game for you, but if you guys are for it, yeah, we can certainly do it.
Maybe we'll put it up.
Yeah, we
to
can
a vote.
definitely put it up for a vote, but let's think about who would affect the most. I mean, we know Evan, it's probably going to affect him the most, but is it going to affect anybody else? And are we doing it for any particular reason other than to speed up battle?
It's a good question, and I think that for me it's a lot of speed up battle, but
Yeah, I think the issue is that like even when it's just us in turn order, you have 7 people before you to somewhat figure out what you're doing. So I feel like it couldn't
I mean,
take too much.
I don't plan past 2 people before me now.
stuff does change
Very
dramatically
true.
pretty often. But
I mean, there could be a
I
fog
think you
cloud
have a
in your way.
general idea,
You could have a fog cloud dropped on your head and not know which way you're going.
Yeah, and I imagine if you get a fog cloud dropped in front of you, like let's say you were going for a book on a pedestal, and you had a fog cloud dropped right on the book. I imagine that would mess up your plan, but I don't know. I feel like 30-ish seconds to figure that out would be fine. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna drop one more tidbits and Rusty open that Pandora's box. I think we're misusing command a little bit. I think command, if you had them lay down, then how many melee people would get advantage on that? I think that would be pretty helpful. Or doesn't being prone affect some sort of saving throw as well? Is that Dex saving throws?
Dex saving throws, yep.
Yeah. So I mean that's fireball right there.
mm-hmm.
Just throwing it out there, but I'll turn it over to you, Rusty.
all right.
So real quick, out of curiosity, has anyone gone back and looked at the last battle to see what the average time was to act?
No, I think it was pretty quick though, to be honest.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to do that before the next session. I'll take a look, throw it out there, and that'll help influence our decision. I think we're all pretty data-driven people.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's take a look and see what that is right now, because I'll be curious, and then that'll help us set a time if we choose to do so. I mean, I'm all for speeding up battle and getting you guys more engaged. I know it's a long time between actions, and that's always my fear. So I love the ideas. Bring them to me as we can speed up battle.
Yeah, I don't think battles now are in any way, shape, or form a comparison to back in Grudhog, to be honest, because that was the longest, grueling battle any of us have endured so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check it out, and we'll talk about it before next session.
All right. Cool. So, all right, magic items. First one up, we've got smoke powder, which is an uncommon, wondrous item coming out of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist module. So, smoke powder is a magical explosive, chiefly used to propel a bullet out of a barrel of a firearm. It is stored in airtight wooden kegs or tiny waterproof leather packets. A packet contains enough smoke powder for 5 shots, and a keg holds enough smoke powder for 500 shots. If the smoke powder is set on fire, dropped, or otherwise handled roughly, it explodes and deals fire damage to each creature or object within 20 feet of it. 1d6 for a packet, 9d6 for a keg. A successful DC 12 dex saving throw halves the damage. Casting Dispel Magic on it renders it permanently inert. I could just see, Reed putting a baggie of this on the end of an arrow or something, and I think that would constitute rough handling, right?
I feel like you can't shoot an arrow at that point, because it's going to be too top heavy.
That's a good point. Yeah, you throw off the balance.
But I could see Reed fucking with Griswold with it.
Oh yeah, I could see I could see Grizz TKing Amrook falling down the hole at Grudhog. Grizz falling down the hole, has it in the bag of holding,
Yeah.
and he just explodes.
Reed slaps a kick me sign with the powder underneath of it on Grizz's back. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, I can see Reed creating wrapping them in a bunch of little pieces of paper and throwing them down like those poppers, constantly at Grizz's feet.
Yeah, I could see that. I think I would. I think I would leave that for the ball bearings. Ball bearings are easily picked up.
True.
Not a bad one. Not a bad item overall, though.
Good Scooby-Doo effects.
Could be fun. All right, next one up, we've got the Paper Bird from the same source, actually. An uncommon, wondrous item. After you write a message of 50 words or fewer on this magic sheet of parchment and speak a creature's name, the parchment magically folds into a tiny paper bird and flies to the recipient whose name you uttered. The recipient must be on the same plane of existence as you, otherwise the bird turns to ash as it takes flight. The bird is an object that has 1 hit point, an AC of 13, a flying speed of 60 feet, a dexterity of 16, a score of 1 in all other abilities. It is immune to poison and psychic damage. It travels to within 5 feet of its intended recipient by the most direct route, whereupon it returns to a non-magical and inanimate piece of parchment and can be unfolded only by the intended recipient. If the bird's hit points or speed is reduced to 0, or if it is otherwise immobilized, it turns to ash. Paper birds usually come in small flat boxes containing 1d6 plus 3 sheets of the special parchment. So that's almost like a one-way sending, but also very slow because it has a flying speed of 60.
Yeah, I was thinking that whole time, man, Garrett has to do the math on how many miles away they are and how long it takes for that bird to get there.
That's almost worthy of
add it to the list.
Putting a little formula in an Excel sheet or something where you can just pop in miles and here's how long.
That's not a bad idea. I should have done that already.
I'm surprised you haven't.
You mean for travel?
I know, me too. Yeah, I've got it angled for ranged weaponry. I've got a little geometry. I'm just gonna have to add that in.
There you go.
Yeah. Other. I don't know. I feel like if you didn't have sending in your party, you would need it. But if you do, I don't know that you need it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, with me, I've got sending. I almost always have that prepared as well. So,
Can you
I
cast
can.
sending ritually?
You cannot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would be too much if you could, because like I could just basically be like, hey, I got to go make a couple calls
Yeah.
and spend
Three
an hour
three hours later.
casting a bunch of sending.
All right. All right. I mean, yeah, okay, it has its niche uses, but overall, I think we're good.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got? Last one.
So, last one here, Ring of Shooting Stars. This does require attunement. This is very rare. So, while wearing this ring in dim light or darkness, you can cast dancing lights and light from the ring at will. Casting either spell from this ring requires an action. The ring has 6 charges for the following other properties. The ring regains 1d6 expended charges daily at dawn. For the first one, you can expend 1 charge as an action to cast Fairy Fire from the ring. You can spend 2 charges as an action to create 1 to 4 3-foot diameter spheres of lightning. You're casting ball lightning. The more spheres you create, the less powerful each sphere is individually. Each sphere appears in an unoccupied space you can see within 120 feet of you. The spheres last as long as you concentrate, as if concentrating on a spell, up to 1 minute. Each sphere sheds dim light in a 30-foot radius. As a bonus action, you can move each sphere up to 30 feet, but no farther than 120 feet away from you. When a creature other than you comes within 5 feet of the sphere discharges lightning at that creature and disappears. That creature must make a DC 15 Dex saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes lightning damage based on the number of spheres you created. So basically, if you only did one sphere, it's 4d12 lightning damage. 2 spheres, 5d4, 3 spheres, 2d6, 4 spheres, 2d4. So basically, super powerful if you're just casting 1 sphere, but diminishes very rapidly as you go down the ladder.
Who would get that ring in our party?
I mean, Grizz would try.
Grizz would try for sure. We all knew that, but
I
who
would argue-
actually end up with it?
I would argue I take it, just for creating light,
Yeah,
since I
That's
don't
a
have
good
dark
call.
vision.
Okay.
because I can cast light on things for myself at will. I've got that as a cantrip. But Reed has to light a torch or something like that. That takes up a hand. This would be nice and easy. Cast Fairy Fire, cast light, something like... Or sorry, not Fairy Fire, Dancing Lights, or cast light at will and go from there.
Yeah. Okay.
It does have one more ability, though, to go through.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
Oh, no,
Didn't
no
mean to
worries, no
interrupt.
worries. This one's loaded. Usually these things only have 1 or 2, but... So the last one, you can expend 1 to 3 charges as an action to cast Shooting Stars. For every charge you expend, you launch a glowing mote of light from the ring at a point you can see within 60 feet of you. Each creature within a 15-foot cube originating from that point is showered in sparks and must make a DC 15 Dex saving throw, taking 5d4 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. So, a fair bit of damage can be done with this if used properly.
Yeah, I would. I'd be okay with Reed having it. I'd be okay.
Absolutely.
Trying to think. Althea might be another one. I mean, she has dark vision, but for some of the other benefits I could see.
Yeah. And especially with how I want to build Reed, it would be less useful for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you talked about the dark vision and stuff. Could Citto cast light on your bow, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it, right?
The only problem is I can only cast light on one thing, and I usually need it.
Okay.
Grizz has something, correct?
He uses his mace.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot he
I
didn't
think-
cast on it, and that's just part of the mace itself.
Yeah, I think Warwick might be able to cast light, or somebody can. Maybe
Yeah, Warwick's got light.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So there is an opportunity there. Depends on if Warwick leads you down the labyrinth and goes too far himself. All right, with that, I do want to jump into some stuff. Rusty, if you got to leave, we completely understand, but we're going to jump into
I will
Stats
jump off if I have
Chat.
to. I do think that Eric is still sitting in on the uh, Twitch chat, so we got to do that shout out first and foremost.
That's exactly what I was putting up on the screen now. I just ran through the stats chat, and there it is. It's on the screen. I know you guys can't see it unless you're watching the Twitch stream, but we want to highlight and thank Adrian for being in the 1K club. Not 1K damage, but 1K healing. I'm super impressed. Healing Spirit OP, am I right? The spell that broke the game, isn't that what you said early on there, G Money?
That's what it is nicknamed. Yeah, the spell that broke 5e.
Personally, it's a lot of out of combat healing because, like you saw in the fight with Nisana, like it can be discharged pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think even most of that is out of combat stuff. I don't think we've ever used it in combat. I think we used it like immediately after.
Healing Spirit, we have used, so we used it in Gredhog. We used it a lot. I would say probably 85% of the time we use it out of combat.
It really helps to recharge you guys between battles.
Yeah.
It's kind of the instant ramp up.
I know sometimes Eric throws it out in battle just to allow Amrook to run through it a couple times, and that's pretty much all we use it for in battle. But
it hasn't been terribly game breaking for us, but it's definitely been powerful to keep you guys healthy immediately afterwards or in between rounds, during small pauses, stuff like that.
Yeah, and you'll see that this episode called Siddle by Committee, you'll see 419 healing done, and 350 of that was Healing Spirit. So yeah, I would say that's some recharging, right?
Mhm.
A little bit.
Yeah, we'll jump into the other information from this encounter. A couple things to point out. So we did have that healing there. Amrook and Siddle back at the top where they should be. Reed in third where he should be. Everything this fight fell back in order. This was a perfect bounce back or rebound from the Nisana fight. So thank you, G Money, for pitching us this softball.
Whew, I loaded you guys really up. I don't know if that was a softball. Amrook close to death with the sword through the heart.
Yeah, I thought you were going to kill me there. I'm going to be honest. I was like, well, okay. That's how Amrook goes down. Yeah.
It was getting close.
Yeah, one death save away, one little spark from, some sort of fire creature, Amrook was gone. But nonetheless, maybe not a softball, we still crushed it out of the park. That's all I'm saying. Grizz having the most kills. He was able to pick up a couple kills there. So still, middle of the pack as far as damage. When we switched to the being attacked by, he actually was second. So I feel like Grizz is changing a little bit. He's doing a little bit more damage, and he's having a bigger presence in the battle. What I mean by that is the amount of either damage negated is usual for him, but the amount of damage taken. So his position's different, so he's actually taking more hits. He's not sitting in the back with magic missile. Could just be me, but
to be fair, I really jab at Evan mainly for he rolls spectacularly bad. Like,
that's true.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't even like script it. Well, I guess I could. I just write 8s and 9s on the board every time, but he manages to roll single digits more than I can understand because his strength modifier is like a 5.
I refuse to
There's a
comment on this
correlation.
situation because last time I said anything about his rolling, the very next session I end up rolling for shit. So I will not comment. You guys go ahead.
Listen, I
Oh,
already had
I'll
my
tell you
bad
what.
rolls with Nasana. There's no
Yeah, you
such
did.
thing anymore. It's all. I'm leaving it up to the 5e gods.
I'll give you guys a break and I'll take the shot at it. It is amazing that the correlation actually exists. That the cockier he is, the worse his rolling gets. I don't know how those two are intermixed and how his dice know, but I'm pretty sure there's a direct correlation.
It's like Roll20 is just listening in. They're like, oh, this guy's talking mad shit. Nope, he's not rolling well.
I was gonna
Yep.
say, he has the camera cover for his laptop, but he should really get a mute button.
That's exactly what it is.
Crazy stuff. So total damage done, 530. How much HP did those fire giants have? Because I felt like they went down a lot easier than last time, and it could have been a level difference, but I don't know. It just felt a little easier with them. Not saying I didn't almost die. I'm just saying they seem to fall
Nope, those ones
quicker.
are on the lower end.
Okay.
These two were lower. I want to say they were. Ooh, I don't remember off the hand. 150 to 170, somewhere in there.
Okay. I'll also point out cold damage was the highest amount of damage done. 156 cold damage. Good job, Siddle by committee.
Well done, Siddle by committee.
Yeah, I give you full credit for that, Rusty, because every time your turn came up, we all thought, what would Rusty do here? And that's usually what we went with.
Fireball, but make it cold.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, there wasn't much meta there. It was basically what would Rusty do. Reed, I mentioned something earlier about is there a way for Reed to have an additional attack?
From a base rogue,
Yeah,
or
or
by
you know,
picking up like a feat.
I don't know. You tell me.
Uh, yes, I can't remember it off the top of my head because we don't get a feat for another quite a few levels.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's worth you putting a couple extra levels into fighter so that you get that additional attack.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to figure out the best way to do it. I
don't know.
have it written down. I just don't have it on hand.
No worries, no worries. And then, of course, I gotta give Garrett his due and show him how much damage that he did to us. Whatever. 300. You did almost 300 points of damage to us, which is
Yeah.
pretty crazy since, like, none of us are really that close. I guess Amrook and Grizz are semi-close to 100, but everybody else is pretty low, I think. You know, Siddle, what's your max HP? Like 42?
46 or 48, I can't remember offhand, but not a lot.
Yeah, so like
One
between
total.
Siddle, Althea, Warwick, and Reed, I mean, you got 200 there, I guess, but you did none of them got hurt either. You know what I mean? The
I
only
was going to say that they took almost no damage.
yeah,
I
the
took 0
only
damage.
the only
What's
three
that?
of us that got hit are Amrook, Grizz, and Adrin. I mean, other than that, you attack the Frank and his posse. But yeah, those are the only three of us that took damage, and Adrin only took 16 damage. So pretty crazy
That's
that
what
you
when
can do 300 points of damage to us.
Oh, it's nuts. I mean, I have to do 500-600 points of damage just to give you guys a real challenge at any given point.
Is that because we're not necessarily as balanced, or is that just the way it scales?
I think that's just the way you guys have slowly leveled up. I mean, you've got a lot of healing capabilities within this party. And you can see that from the healing numbers within. You guys also combine pretty well, except for Nasana. Whenever you actually perform your tactics, you got the front end, you got the back end characters, and you got some solid HP numbers on your frontline characters. It was very different whenever I could get keep Griswold in the back and mix you guys up a little bit. It was a whole different ball game.
How do you plan a battle for that? Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fireball taking its lead once again at doing 50% of the damage this battle. You know, you don't think about it because I think there was 2 fireballs cast, but you don't think about it until you see this chart, this tree map down at the bottom to show you. All right, so let me rephrase that. Fireball doing 50% of the spell damage. Um, you just don't think about it that way until you see this tree map showing Fireball doing 56%, almost 57% of the spell damage. So what are the other spells go to? Like I'm Bless was cast this time. I get that. Tasha's Mind Whip, I think, is in here now. Yeah, there it goes. That one, actually, I really liked that one. I think that one's probably more useful than like Command or anything like that, because that's like a slow almost as well. You have to choose then, do they act, do they move, do they react? And that's all you get per round.
Yeah, you're right. That is very much a slow with some damage to it.
Yeah. And it's not puny damage either. I think it's like 5d6, 3d6, something like that.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the top of my head.
Yeah. I knew it was something like that, but nonetheless, I'm glad to see that in there. I really like that. I think that's better than Command. Which I want to make a note here. So whenever Command happened and you started to run away, what was the thought process there? Like, did that giant speak Common?
Oh, no, he didn't, and I just completely forgot about that fact. I was mixing that up with another spell that it didn't even consider it.
Okay.
So I'm glad you caught me. That's why we had to retroactively move him back. I was just foolish. That was a DM mistake that you caught. Well played.
I'm
completely forgot
not
about the
trying to call
language.
you out in any way, shape, or form. I was just
No,
curious
hey,
if
I'm
there
okay
was
with it. I'm
something
good with
that
taking my hits.
I was just curious if there was some sort of reason, because honestly, I didn't want him to run away, because if we gave him room to run away, now he's going to pelt us with boulders again, and I got to run up and catch him again.
Yep. No, that was just a DM mistake.
All right. Well, nonetheless, it was
It
good.
happened. I'm not infallible. I am mortal. If you cut me, I do bleed.
You might be, but Mordai is not. And then Chromatic Orb, and the first time we've seen it in the spells, I don't know if it's a spell or ability, but Flurry of Blows. Only did a little bit of damage, but nonetheless, I think that's cool that our highest healer is bringing in some more damage as well. I think that was pretty much everything that stood out to me. Anything stand out to you guys as you were looking through any of the stats? Not really.
No,
Same here.
No, as I'm sitting here thinking, no, it was a good solid battle. I mean, that a very very similar one 2 levels ago is the one that almost decimated you guys. Instead of 2 flame snakes, there was a second elemental, but it was two giants, 2 elementals.
Yeah, I always like to look at people's individual, and I'll just point this one out. Grizz actually was not able to deflect as much damage this time. You only attacked him 5 times, but you hit 4 out of those 5 times.
Yes, I did.
So either you were just rolling well, or I don't know, because usually that is more like a 70%. Let's just see if we go to the previous session. It's a 73%. 75%. So to see that at 20% is pretty crazy.
I was pretty happy about that.
Even Amrook. Oh wait. That's hold on. We went here. Storm. I don't have the episode in there, so I'll have to go by that. Yeah, no, I had 13%. Never mind. But you did attack me almost twice as much.
Yeah, you were there. You got right in the middle of everything.
You had it. Well, what else am I supposed to do?
Well, I know. That's so you do it, so I do what I need to do.
Oh, I'm not blaming you at all. I love it. It will be the reason that I die. I accept that.
Yes, it will.
But with that, if you guys don't have anything else to talk about, which I think we could talk about for a couple more hours, but I think we'll go ahead and end it there unless you guys have anything pressing.
No, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to Adrin in the chat there. He's been chatting along. He does make last minute tactics when fog clouds are pressed, just like everybody else. As well as say he kind of liked my idea of the rogue fighter archer.
That's what I'm going for.
Is it? I thought you
Yeah.
wanted to be like close up. You wanted to be like attack with your rapier more.
Yeah, a fighter archer. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, but if you wanted to attack with your rapier, you wouldn't be archer.
I thought he combined those.
Rogue, fighter, and then archer. So with fighter, you could take different combat styles, and you could be more of an archer, or you could be up front like Amrook. Anyway.
Yeah, my plan was to rely more on melee, and with Arcane Trickster, I think at 13, I can use Mage Hand to distract and get advantage.
Are you going Arcane Trickster, eh?
Mm-hmm.
You gain access to the haste spell, so you can give yourself another attack there as well. So if you put into fighter and then you go and you're hasted, you get a third attack. There are certain subclasses that do get the haste. But anyway, we'll end it on that note. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you maybe this weekend.